There is no room for the weak. Tranquility is nothing but a disguise. Time counts down without mercy. The strong seize and plunder to survive. Live or be destroyed. As the fading veil of darkness slowly surrenders to the light, an ancient biological cycle begins to stir across the blue planet. The colossal Earth continues its silent rotation upon its own axis. Pushing the very first rays of dawn through the dense blanket of mist that shrouds the Serengeti plains. All living things across the savanna gradually awaken beneath a breathtaking wash of molten golden light. Stretching endlessly across 12,000 square miles of East African grassland, the brilliant radiance reveals every minute detail upon this vast canvas of nature. From dewdrops clinging to acacia leaves, to animal tracks pressed deep into the damp earth. Yet the serene stillness of this early morning is merely a velvet curtain concealing the brutal truth of the wild. In this unforgiving realm, the sun does not simply bring life. It serves as an invisible clock that dictates absolutely everything. It silently counts down time, ruthlessly deciding who shall be the proud hunter and who shall become the bloodied prey. The law of survival on the savanna is strikingly simple and transparent. The relentless alternation between light and darkness across 24 hours determines the fate of every living creature. Each moment of the day delivers a distinct physiological advantage, shaping how every species operates to survive. Every animal carries within it the indelible imprint of millions of years of relentless evolution, refined and perfected to thrive in its environment. From the instant dawn ignites the sky to the moment absolute darkness descends upon the African continent. Across this vast land, every single sunrise fires the starting gun for a brand new race between predator and prey, a race where the stakes are life and death. And our story begins right at this very moment as dawn breaks across the East African savanna. At this precise hour, the ambient temperature remains pleasantly cool, creating perfect conditions for massive predators whose bodies are poorly equipped to dissipate heat. The African lion is the undisputed sovereign of the savanna and the only big cat species that lives in organized social groups. A fully grown male lion carries a majestic presence, weighing up to 400 pounds, with a body length exceeding 10 feet. The lighter females, at roughly 300 pounds, bear the critical responsibility of serving as the pride's primary hunting force. Despite their enormous bulk, these formidable killing machines can explode to speeds of 50 miles per hour in short bursts. The lion's true power lies in their ability to coordinate flanking formations with near-surgical precision. A thunderous roar that carries up to 5 miles across the plains serves as the ultimate declaration of supreme authority over their entire domain. On the other side of the battle line, the plains zebras are far from helpless. They rely on sheer numbers to establish a formidable biological defense barrier. The bold, black and white striped coat of each individual functions as an extraordinarily sophisticated visual disruption mechanism. When standing close together, the interlocking stripes in constant motion create a wall of chaotic optical illusion. This wall of visual confusion makes it exceedingly difficult for any predator to distinguish the head from the tail of a single individual. Weighing up to 770 pounds, zebras possess far superior endurance compared to any of the big cats. Within the herd, sentinels take turns standing guard around the clock, ready to sound a piercing alarm called the instant danger is detected. Beneath the hazy morning mist, the muscular lionesses press their bodies flat against the ground, their tawny coats blending seamlessly into the withered grass. The silence is suddenly torn apart. The lions launch their attack in unison. They pour every ounce of power into a wide, sweeping arc formation to encircle their prey. The ferocious assault instantly shatters the zebra herd's defensive wall. A young foal, a fraction too slow in its reaction, inadvertently drifts into the crosshairs of the killers. In the blink of an eye, the lion's razor-sharp jaws lock down on the victim's throat. The lead lioness willingly shares this nourishing bounty with the rest of her pride. But time waits for no one, and the physiological advantage of the cool early morning is rapidly slipping away. As the great ball of fire climbs higher into the sky, nature's physiological game shifts into an altogether more punishing chapter. The steadily rising ambient temperature is now awakening an entirely different class of speed-driven hunters. As the early morning rays deepen into a blazing gold, the sun begins to pour its warmth down upon the Serengeti floor. The dawn mist vanishes entirely, and the shadows beneath the scattered trees shrink back with quiet inevitability. The heat has not yet reached the searing intensity of midday, but it is more than sufficient to rouse the entire food chain across this boundless savanna. The leopard is the most solitary and enigmatic ambush predator in all of Africa, needing neither a pride nor any ally whatsoever. Weighing approximately 130 pounds, it conceals extraordinary muscular power beneath a coat of flawless rosettes. Though its burst speed reaches only about 37 miles per hour, this lethal killing machine possesses an unmatched ability to camouflage and vanish entirely from sight. A leopard can lie motionless upon a tree branch for hours on end without the slightest twitch transforming patience itself into its deadliest weapon. Its signature hunting strategy is to remain perfectly still among the high branches, waiting with infinite patience for a target to pass beneath the crosshairs of death. Below the canopy, a herd of impala grazes contentedly, utterly oblivious to the fact that death is hovering directly above their heads. This antelope species is renowned as the savanna's finest living alarm system, blessed with remarkably acute hearing and vision. Each adult individual can leap up to 33 feet in length and spring 10 feet into the air, thanks to a skeletal structure that is both feather-light and supremely resilient. Their laterally positioned eyes grant them a field of vision spanning nearly 360 degrees, forcing any would-be predator to contend with dozens of watchful eyes simultaneously. Yet that supreme agility often proves utterly useless when a masterful enemy has already closed to a fatally short distance. A dry leaf rustles, The spotted shadow drops like a thunderbolt. From the darkness, the leopard strikes in a blinding flash before its prey can so much as flinch. The impala erupts in panic, leaping and twisting desperately in a frantic bid to break the momentum of pursuit. But the gap is too narrow. The hunter unleashes a devastating swipe that sweeps the victim's legs from under it. In an instant, razor-sharp jaws clamp down on the throat, and the chase is over. Without a moment's hesitation, the victor seizes the kill in its jaws and hauls the heavy carcass back up into the high branches. From this position of absolute safety, the blood-soaked meal is shielded entirely from every greedy rival below. The sound of splintering bone echoes through the canopy in the stillness of midday, a cold reminder that on this savanna, no meal ever comes easily. And as the searing heat of noon gradually smothers the savanna, forcing all living things to seek shelter from its fury, as the sun reaches its zenith, the blazing midday transforms the entire Serengeti savanna into an inescapable furnace of staggering proportions. The suffocating heat rising from the parched earth compels every creature to seek refuge, leaving behind a silence so heavy it is almost unbearable. And yet, concealed beneath the murky waters of a river cutting across the grassland, a colossal tyrant is luxuriating in a private cooling territory all its own. This is the hippopotamus, the third heaviest land mammal on the planet, with fully grown males tipping the scales at an astonishing 6,600 pounds. Equipped with an immensely thick hide that is paradoxically hypersensitive to ultraviolet radiation, this creature possesses no sweat glands whatsoever to regulate its own body temperature. Should it remain exposed to the fierce African sun for too long, that naked skin will rapidly crack and blister in excruciating agony. The hippo's sole survival strategy is to submerge itself in water for up to 16 hours each day, maintaining moisture and relieving the crushing burden of its own colossal weight. Evolution has engineered a perfectly adapted skull architecture for this semi-aquatic existence. The eyes, ears, and nostrils are all aligned along the very top of the head, allowing the animal to sink its entire body beneath the surface, while effortlessly monitoring every movement in its surroundings. From a distance, dozens of these massive flesh mountains, floating side by side in tightly packed clusters, create a deceptive illusion of laziness and docility. But that is a fatal miscalculation for the hippopotamus. He is widely recognized as one of the most aggressive and dangerous creatures on the entire African continent. Even the ferocious Nile crocodile hastily clears a path when a bull hippo erupts in rage and charges through the water. Hidden beneath the placid foam lie gargantuan jaws capable of gaping open to 150 degrees, armed with razor-sharp tusks, measuring up to 20 inches in length. With a single cold-blooded snap of those jaws, the staggering muscular force can effortlessly puncture and crush the stone hard-armored scales of any trespasser. The bulls regularly clash in horrifying territorial battles, jaws agape and slamming together with savage fury until one combatant finally retreats, its body riddled with gaping wounds. Under the scorching sun, their skin begins to secrete a viscous red fluid that resembles blood. This natural substance functions as a remarkably effective built-in sunscreen and antibacterial agent combined. Despite their lumbering appearance, hippos can accelerate to 19 miles per hour on dry land, faster than any human sprinter alive. They wait with stoic patience, submerged in silence, emerging only after nightfall to forage beneath the pale glow of the moon. In the merciless heat of Africa, the hippopotamus proves that a true ruler needs only be ferocious enough to ensure that absolutely nothing dares to come close. The oppressive noon on the Serengeti is also the very moment when the scorching peak of sunlight is simultaneously baking the Amazon rainforest on the opposite side of the globe. The rotation of the Earth never stops. As night finally descends to grant relief to all living things across Africa, on the opposite hemisphere, the sun begins to rise once more, awakening the colossal Amazon rainforest. The once mighty network of rivers that thundered with life is now draining at a dizzying pace, exposing cracked and barren riverbanks beneath the relentless sun. The cruel retreat of the waters has stripped away living space, isolating most aquatic creatures into shrinking mud pools and stagnant ponds. The suffocating heat rapidly engulfs every corner of the forest. Relentlessly draining the stamina of every species struggling to survive. Millions of liters of vapor rise in thick plumes from the dwindling pools, transforming the entire landscape into a colossal steam room that chokes every breath. A large herd of capybaras, recognized as the largest rodent species on Earth. Equipped with a thick layer of subcutaneous fat and uniquely semi-webbed feet, they have been engineered by nature for a semi-aquatic lifestyle along the riverbanks. Their substantial body weight of over 130 pounds makes them an irresistible prize for any large predator lurking in the vicinity. They communicate through an elaborate system of vocalizations. From soft exploratory whistles to loud alarm barks, capable of carrying for miles. Remarkably, the capybara's nose, eyes and ears are all aligned along a single line at the very top of the skull. This evolutionary design allows them to submerge and cool off underwater while still effortlessly monitoring every movement around them. Yet surface defenses become utterly useless against a silent assassin poised to strike from the murky depths below. Just beneath the tranquil surface, lethal dangers lie in wait for the unwary arrival of oblivious prey. In the shallow waters near the bank, lurking beneath the thick mud, the green anaconda is the very embodiment of death lying in ambush. Recognized as the heaviest snake on the planet, a fully grown female can stretch to 23 feet and weigh over 220 pounds. Its moss-green skin, mottled with black spots, provides flawless camouflage amid the algae-choked, root-tangled waters. The absolute stillness of the anaconda is a perfected art of survival, dissolving its entire body into the murky current. The still water suddenly explodes. The anaconda surges upward in a blinding flash. A jaw bristling with rows of backward curving teeth instantly clamps down on the victim's hind leg. A piercing shriek rings out before the death coils begin to tighten. Each time the capybara exhales, the massive wall of muscle cinches one coil tighter. The devastating pressure severs all oxygen supply, finishing the victim in absolute silence. Only the faint ripples spreading outward and dissolving are the last trace proving that beneath the glassy surface. A flawless hunt has just concluded in total silence. And somewhere in the dark abyss of mud below, the colossal serpent has already begun coiling around its meal for a digestive sleep that may last weeks on end. As the sun climbs higher across the sky, the heat begins to dissolve the last wisps of mist still clinging to the treetops. Vapor rises from rotting leaves, curling through the Amazon like a dreamscape before dissolving under the tropical sun. This is the Harpy eagle, the most powerful aerial predator in the Amazon rainforest and one of the largest eagles on Earth. Its blade-sharp eyes can detect the movement of prey from over 650 feet away through the densest canopy. With a wingspan stretching nearly 7 feet and a body weight of up to 20 pounds, they reign as the absolute sovereign of the tropical skies. The most fearsome weapon of this bird is a pair of colossal talons measuring up to 5 inches in length. The crushing force from those steel legs can exceed 110 pounds, more than enough to puncture the skull of any prey within its crosshairs. Unlike soaring eagles that circle high above, the Harpy chooses to perch motionless atop the canopy before plunging through the foliage at blinding speed. Below the dense canopy, a troop of red howler monkeys noisily swings from branch to branch, foraging for food, completely unaware that death is stalking them from above. Their vivid red fur may help them identify their own kind with ease, but it also makes them the most conspicuous target amid the endless green carpet of the canopy. Red howler monkeys are famous for their thunderous howls that can carry up to 3 miles through the dense jungle, used to mark territory and communicate among troop members. Each adult weighs roughly 15 to 20 pounds, with a long prehensile tail that wraps tightly around branches, like a natural safety harness. Yet the signature howl, meant to defend their territory inadvertently, becomes a deadly homing signal for the enemy above. The Harpy eagle folds its wings and dives. Steel talons snap open in a flash. The diving speed, through layer after layer of canopy, transforms it into a living missile tearing through the ancient forest. Wings tucked tight against its body, it threads through gaps between branches with absolute precision. Talons slam into the howler monkey's body before the victim can utter a single cry. The devastating crushing force extinguishes all resistance mid-air in an instant. The Harpy eagle leisurely carries its prize back to a massive nest atop the tallest tree, where no rival dares to challenge it. The surviving howler monkeys huddle together in silence, their thunderous howls from moments ago now completely extinguished. The forest swiftly swallows every trace of the attack that just occurred, as though death had never visited this place. A single red feather spiraling down into the stream is the only evidence of a flawless, soundless kill. But not every creature in the canopy concerns itself with the life and death struggle that just unfolded. Just a few trees away, the safe kingdom of the three-toed sloth remains submerged in absolute stillness. Where one extraordinary creature has transformed slowness itself into the ultimate survival strategy. A solitary sloth leisurely basks in the blazing rays, filtering through the leaves from the midday sun. With a modest body weight of merely 9 to 11 pounds, they spend virtually their entire lives suspended among the canopy foliage. The sloth's speed of movement is so impossibly slow that on average they cover less than 130 feet per day. This extreme slowness stems from an astonishingly low metabolic rate, allowing the animal to conserve every scrap of its meager energy intake. Their complex stomach operates so slowly that it can take up to an entire month to fully digest just a few delicate young leaves. To compensate for this vulnerability and speed, evolution has gifted the sloth with sickle-shaped claws measuring up to 4 inches long. These claws automatically lock onto branches like a perfect hanging hook, requiring absolutely zero muscular effort to maintain their grip. Thanks to a specialized rib cage firmly anchored to the spine, it can hang upside down for decades without ever experiencing chest tightness or difficulty breathing. Their coarse fur even serves as a living habitat for countless green algae, creating a natural camouflage coat that renders them virtually invisible against the green of the ancient forest. A gentle face with the corners of its mouth perpetually curved into a mysterious half-smile makes it look like an enlightened monk meditating in the heart of the wild. It lets its limbs dangle loose, releasing its body entirely to drift into the rustling symphony of the forest, and begins a sleep lasting 15 hours each day. This image of absolute tranquility is a beautiful testament to the fact that in the unforgiving wild, survival is sometimes simply the art of doing nothing. The canopy's most terrifying predator concluded its attack mere minutes ago, yet the sloth remains hanging motionless as though time has never passed where it exists. Two diametrically opposed survival strategies coexist upon the very same canopy. One side is explosive, lethal power. The other is a stillness bordering on invisibility. And it is precisely this miraculous diversity that is why the Amazon rainforest has earned its title as the most complex life-producing engine this planet has ever created. As the afternoon light begins to stretch long across the forest floor, the tranquility in the treetops cannot mask the lethal breath lurking just below ground level. The jaguar, recognized as the largest big cat in all of the Americas, moves in silence through the dense undergrowth along the swamp's edge. It possesses a mass of rippling muscle, concealed beneath a coat of flawless rosettes. Although not built for long-distance sprinting, it can still explode to speeds of 50 miles per hour in short bursts. However, this animal's true weapon lies in its phantom-like stalking ability and a bite force powerful enough to obliterate exceeding 1,500 psi. This is the only big cat on the planet that harbors no fear of murky water, regarding swimming as a superior survival advantage. Its most brutal habit is bypassing the soft throat entirely to drive its fangs straight through the skull of its prey, ending the victim's life in the blink of an eye. Today's target for the Lord of the Jungle is a caiman crocodile lying motionless in a shallow mud wallow. Its tough, armored scales protruding above the waterline make this reptile look exactly like a lifeless log drifting on the surface. This biological suit of armor has long served as a formidable defensive wall, rendering them immune to virtually every natural attack. But during the dry season, as the waters recede, thousands of caimans are forced to crowd together in ever-shrinking mud pools. This excessive concentration inadvertently transforms them into a trapped feast, laid out exclusively for the apex predator. The jaguar closes in on the muddy bank's edge. It launches itself across the water's surface. The sound of mud erupting echoes through the swamp as the predator lands squarely on the caiman's back. The armored reptile thrashes its tail wildly in a frenzied attempt to throw off its attacker. But razor-sharp claws have already found purchase anchoring the fangs as they drive clean through the skull. The lethal strike severs the central nervous system, extinguishing life in the blink of an eye. Without excessive effort, The victor clamps its jaws around the carcass, weighing dozens of pounds, and hauls it back up the slippery, rain-soaked embankment. It silently carries its lavish meal deep into the dark heart of the jungle. Where the ambush just took place, the spreading bloodstain is swiftly swallowed by the thick mud, leaving no trace behind. The victor calmly settles beside its prize, beneath the cool shade of the ancient canopy, amber eyes lazily half shut, while its ears never stop scanning. With a territory spanning dozens of square miles, each jaguar is an independent empire where every creature on land or in water features on its menu. No pride, no pack, no sharing the rosette-crowned lord of the Amazon hunts alone, eats alone, and reigns alone. The soft evening light settles over the canopy, and amid this endless spiral of life and death, the Amazon quietly conceals within itself moments that make one forget blood was ever spilled here. Yet the Amazon rainforest is not solely a realm of blood and fangs. It still hides within itself moments of breathtaking beauty. Against the deep blue sky, a flock of scarlet macaws glides through the canopy on wings as vivid as traveling flames. Their plumage, blazing in 3 brilliant hues of red, gold, and cobalt blue, creates one of the most dazzling living portraits in the entire avian world. With a body length reaching up to 3 feet, including the tail, these are among the largest parrot species on the planet. Their modest weight of just over 2 pounds allows them to glide effortlessly at speeds of up to 35 miles per hour through the dense forest canopy. They live in large flocks of up to several dozen individuals, communicating ceaselessly with raucous calls that echo through the forest like a symphony that never ends. Every member of the flock possesses a unique vocal signature that is unmistakable, allowing them to recognize one another even while flying through the thickest canopy. Their exceptional intelligence allows them to memorize the locations of food sources scattered across hundreds of square miles of ancient forest territory. Hundreds of scarlet macaws gather along riverside clay banks to perform a ritual unlike anything else in nature. They use their powerful curved beaks to scrape off chunks of clay and swallow them whole. For the minerals within the clay possess the ability to neutralize the toxins found in the seeds and wild fruits they consume daily. The spectacle of hundreds of blazing red wings blanketing an entire cliff face is one of the most iconic images of the Amazon rainforest. The raucous calls of the macaw flock are the most characteristic sound of the forest, a natural symphony signaling that life continues to flourish. The scarlet macaws gently alight on a high branch, nestling close together and beginning to preen each other's radiant plumage in the warm sunlight. Amid a world of fangs and claws, the blazing red of the macaw flock is a reminder that the Amazon is not only ruthless, but breathtakingly beautiful. And as the sunset paints the horizon in shades of violet, the scarlet macaws stream toward their nests in one long blazing trail of fire. But as the last light of day fades away, the forest changes its guard, and the creatures that belong to darkness begin to open their eyes. "24 fleeting hours have passed from the boundless Serengeti savanna of Africa to the dense tropical Amazon rainforest of South America. Every species encountered on this journey, from the proud lion to the patient anaconda, operates under the same immutable law of light and darkness. The morning grants advantage to the colossal hunting machines that cannot endure the scorching heat of midday. The afternoon belongs to the patient ambush predators who exploit shade and the carelessness of their prey. From the lightning pounce of the leopard upon its branch, to the canopy-piercing dive of the Harpy eagle. Zebras rely on optical illusion. Impala rely on explosive leaps. And caimans rely on armored scales, but nothing is truly invincible. No favoritism, no privilege exists here. Only the most adaptable earn the right to step into a new day. The razor-sharp fangs, the steel talons, the death coils, all are products of millions of years of relentless evolution. Yet the fragility of this miraculous 24-hour cycle now faces a threat unprecedented in the history of the natural world. Climate change is silently disrupting the seasonal rhythms, pushing every species into a vulnerability that no predator can fight against. Beneath the fathomless darkness of the boundless universe, this small Earth patiently continues its rotation upon its own axis. The unforgiving battle for survival within the next 24 hours will begin all over again. And out there across the sun-scorched savannas and beneath the dripping canopies, millions of eyes remain wide open in the darkness. Each day that passes on this planet is not mere repetition, but a new chapter in the 4-billion-year epic of life. where every living soul is wagering everything it has for one single thing: tomorrow. Cherish this miraculous cycle before it becomes nothing more than a memory. Amid that endless sea of grass, a herd of zebras moves slowly, perhaps 40 strong heads bowed low, grazing on the last withered blades, still clinging to the cracked, sun-hardened earth. The black and white stripes on a zebra are more than mere pattern. Science has proven they create a dazzling optical effect that confounds tsetse flies, distorting the insect's approach trajectory and making it significantly harder for them to land, reducing the devastating risk of sleeping sickness that kills thousands of animals each season. Every zebra carries a set of stripes, entirely unique. A euro like human fingerprints, a euro no two individuals in the herd are ever the same. But today, those markings will not save them from the eyes watching through the tall grass 300 feet away. Several lionesses lie pressed flat against the earth, tawny hides melting into the dry golden grass until only the faint twitch of an ear betrays their presence. They have been here since before dawn, patient as stone, breathing shallow, muscles coiled. An adult lioness weighs roughly 280 pounds, considerably lighter than males, which can exceed 500 pounds. Yet, it is precisely that comparative lightness and explosive agility which makes lionesses the designated hunters of the pride, killing machines honed by millions of years of evolution. One lioness separates from the group, belly scraping the ground, each enormous paw placed with deliberate, silent precision. The gap narrows to 150 feet. Lions are not the fastest runners on the savannah. Their top speed reaches only 35 miles per hour, far slower than zebras, which can bolt at 40 miles per hour. Lions never chase over long distances. They ambush, they wait, and when they strike, everything unfolds in fewer than 10 seconds. The lioness explodes, upward muscles detonating like a compressed spring, four legs hammering the baked earth in a terrifying gallop that sends tremors through the ground, closing the distance at a rate that leaves no margin for hesitation. The zebras explode into a frantic run. A cloud of dust rolls across the plains like a brown mist. The lioness launches with deadly precision, locking onto her target without hesitation. Her crushing bite is powerful enough to hold the prey fast, ending the struggle within minutes. The hunt ends. Vultures are already circling, jackals already inching closer through the grass. On the Serengeti, one creature's death always sustains many others: hyenas, marabou storks, beetles, bacteria, and that cycle never stops turning. Zebras belong to the horse family, Equidae, with 3 species still surviving across Africa: the plain zebra, the mountain zebra, and grevy's zebra. Plains zebras are the most abundant, numbering over 700,000 individuals, while grevy's zebras have dwindled to fewer than 3,000, teetering on the brink of extinction. Each year, nearly 200,000 zebras join the Great Migration across the Serengeti, alongside more than 1.5 million wildebeest and hundreds of thousands of Thompson's gazelles, together forming one of the largest remaining animal migrations on the face of the Earth, a spectacular visible from space. Lions succeed in only about 1 out of every 5 hunts, a punishing ratio that means for every 5 carefully planned ambushes, 4 end in failure, exhaustion, and empty bellies. That ratio forces lions to perfect the art of coordination to each member of the pride assuming a distinct role: the driver, the flanker, and the one who delivers the killing blow. Under the scorching African sun exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit, lions spend up to 20 hours a day resting, conserving energy for those brief, explosive moments that determine the survival of the entire pride. A lion's heart accounts for a mere 0.5% of its body weight, a ratio far smaller than that of a hyena or a cheetah. This physiological weakness drains their stamina rapidly in any sprint, compelling the king of beasts to trade endurance for ambush tactics and the brutal efficiency of the pride. The African savanna is nature's grandest arena, a theater of raw survival where the eternal war between predator and prey unfolds under a blazing, unforgiving sun, amid searing heat that warps the horizon and an unending, desperate thirst. But on this planet, not every battle for survival plays out beneath the light. More than 5,000 miles northeast of the Serengeti, beyond the vast Eurasian continent, lies a wilderness where winter is not a season, it is an adversary. Siberia. This landmass spans more than 5 million square miles, a staggering expanse of frozen rivers, volcanic plateaus, and ancient forests, claiming nearly 10% of all the land on Earth, larger than the United States and Europe combined. Here, winter temperatures plunge to -60 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to freeze exposed flesh in under 60 seconds. The sun disappears entirely for months across the polar regions, and every droplet of moisture turns to crystalline stone before it touches the ground. If the African savanna tests life with scorching heat and the desperate scarcity of water, then Siberia tests it with a cold so absolute it can freeze the moisture inside a living lung within a few shallow breaths. This is the most brutal winter on Earth. Every creature here faces the same choice: adapt, migrate, or die. There is no fourth option. Yet amid this frozen realm, where frost crystals hang suspended in the still air and the silence is broken only by the crack of contracting wood, a dark shape moves through the snow-laden taiga, the shadow of the largest cat on the planet. Tracks press deep into fresh snow, each print as wide as an adult human hand, the imprint of retracted claws leaving crisp crescents in the powder. The Siberian tiger. The Amur tiger, the only subspecies adapted to snow and temperatures of -45 degrees Fahrenheit, weighs up to 440 pounds, with historic males exceeding 660 pounds. Winter fur grows to 1 inch thick, the densest and longest of any tiger subspecies on Earth, combined with a heavy layer of insulating belly fat up to 2 inches deep, forming a biological armor against the cold that no other great cat on the planet possesses. Only about 600 individuals remain in the wild, concentrated mainly in the Sikhote-Alin mountains of Russia's Far East. Each hunt is not merely a matter of one animal's survival, it is a question of the entire species' existence. Siberia's greatest enemy is not any predator. Its greatest enemy is winter itself. And deep within the taiga, the battle has already begun. The Siberian taiga, the largest coniferous forest on Earth, a green mantle visible from space, stretches 3,600 miles from the Ural Mountains to the Pacific coast, covering nearly 6 million square miles of spruce, larch, and Siberian pine. Beneath the vast canopy of pine and cedar, the Siberian taiga moves almost invisibly, its stripes dissolving the body's outline amid the interplay of shadow and light, filtering through snow-covered branches. A male tiger's territory spans up to 400 square miles larger than the entire city of New York and all 5 of its boroughs. He marks its borders with pungent urine sprayed high on tree trunks, claw rakes that scar bark from shoulder height to 6 feet above the snow, and thunderous roars that carry 2 miles through the frozen forest. In winter, snow piles 3 to 4 feet deep, but the tiger's unusually broad paws function as natural snowshoes, distributing its enormous weight across the soft surface. The tiger stalks a Sika deer belly nearly brushing the snow, each massive paw placed with soundless precision upon a frozen world. In the faint winter light, filtering through the frost-laden canopy, its amber eyes, pupils narrowed to sharp vertical slits, remain locked on the prey from hundreds of feet away. The tiger launches from 30 feet, accelerating to 35 miles per hour in the opening seconds, yet sustaining that speed for only a few hundred feet before exhaustion sets in. Only 1 in 10 hunts succeeds. Every failure burns precious energy, a currency that Siberian winter never refunds. The tiger bites precisely into the nape, a force of roughly 1,000 psi, shattering the cervical vertebrae in an instant. Death comes swift and absolute. A single tiger can consume 60 pounds of meat in one sitting, equivalent to an entire small deer devoured in a single marathon feeding session. Whatever remains is carefully cached beneath layers of snow and fallen leaves, marked by scent, and revisited over the days that follow until every ounce of nourishment has been extracted. Yet not every creature holds the privilege of sleeping through winter. On the northern tundra, where no trees offer shelter and the wind cuts to the bone, the true battle is only beginning. A wolf pack advances toward a herd of musk oxen, and the confrontation ahead will test the limits of both sides. Feeble winter light, barely grazing the horizon before sliding back into dusk, falls across the Siberian tundra as temperatures drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds exceeding 100 miles per hour unleash whiteout blizzards where visibility falls to zero and exposed skin freezes in under 2 minutes. The tundra, a treeless expanse of moss and lichen, stretches from the Tiger's Edge to the shores of the Arctic Ocean. The ground lies frozen hundreds of feet deep, with only a fragile surface layer thawing during the brief summer. Here, there is nowhere to hide. No ridge, no hollow, no fold in the earth offers refuge. Every creature crossing the tundra stands exposed to the enemy's gaze, silhouetted against the white vastness, and so does every predator. Through the blizzard, a pack of grey wolves moves forward in disciplined single file, the alpha breaking trail through deep snow, ploughing a furrow with its broad chest, while those behind step precisely into the leader's tracks to conserve precious energy. Siberian grey wolves dwarf their temperate cousins. Shoulder height reaches roughly 31 inches, with body weight ranging from 130 to 175 pounds. A dual-layered coat, long water-resistant guard hairs on the outside, dense underfur trapping warmth within. This insulation system allows wolves to endure -50 degrees Fahrenheit without increasing their metabolic rate. The grey wolf's bite force can reach 1200 psi, a record among wild canids, more than enough to crush the femur of a moose. A wolf's howl carries up to 10 miles across the open tundra, a signal for coordination, a territorial warning, and a bond holding the pack together through blizzards that the naked eye cannot penetrate. Only the alpha pair, the leading male and female breed, controlling reproduction with a discipline that ensures the pack's resources are never stretched beyond their limits. The entire pack shares in raising the pups, regurgitating pre-chewed food, distributing kills, and defending the den against intruders. A hierarchical yet deeply cooperative society, bound by what science calls the model of cooperative breeding. The wolf pack spots a herd of roughly 15 musk oxen pawing through snow for forage on the exposed tundra. Musk oxen, living fossils that walked alongside woolly mammoths more than 100,000 years ago, surviving every ice age that Earth has thrown at them. Kiviot, the downy inner fleece, shed each spring, is 8 times warmer than sheep's wool, softer and lighter than the finest cashmere, and does not shrink or felt when wet. This extraordinary fiber ranks among the rarest and most prized natural textiles in the world, commanding prices of $40 to $80 per ounce on the luxury market. Adults weigh up to 900 pounds and stand over 5 feet at the shoulder. But their most formidable weapon is not size, it is a collective defense strategy passed down through thousands of generations. When wolves appear, muskoxen swiftly form a defensive circle, calves sheltered at the center, flanks pressed warm against one another, while adults face outward with curved, razor-sharp horns presented like a living fortress that has withstood predators since the Pleistocene. Horn bosses, up to 4 inches thick, shield the skull, while the curved tips can inflict lethal wounds. A single well-aimed charge means shattered bone, and on the frozen tundra, a broken bone means death. The wolves probe, circling the defensive formation, watching, searching for the weak, the old. One wolf darts in with a feigned attack, provoking a reaction, seeking a gap in the formation. An adult bull lunges forward, horns sweeping just inches from the wolf. The standoff drags on for hours beneath the leaden Arctic sky, wolves patiently probing, testing, feinting, while muskoxen hold their formation with iron-willed resolve, clouds of vapor rising from their nostrils in the frozen air. Neither side yields an inch. This time, the muskoxen hold firm. The wolves withdraw empty-handed. The hunter does not always prevail, and on the tundra, failure means one more day of hunger in the bone-chilling cold. Wolves succeed in only about 20% of hunts against muskoxen, significantly lower than their rate against reindeer or deer. The circular defense has been refined across tens of thousands of years of confrontation with wolves themselves. But when blizzards rage for days on end, the herd is forced to break formation to feed. That is the moment wolves wait for, and patience is something wolves never lack. Farther north still, where the land ends and the sea ice begins, the true sovereign of the Arctic waits. The Arctic Ocean lies frozen solid ice, stretching across millions of square miles in every direction, 3 to 10 feet thick, groaning and creaking under its own titanic weight. A white world, silent enough to steal the breath, where the horizon dissolves into nothingness. In the dim blue-gray glow of the brief winter day, barely 4 hours of twilight before darkness reclaims the sky, a male polar bear weighing up to 1,500 pounds, standing 10 feet tall on hind legs, reigns as the supreme land predator on Earth. A bite force of roughly 1,200 psi paired with fangs capable of puncturing dense biological blubber before crushing the femur and skull of a seal. The primary prey, the ringed seal, the smallest seal in the Arctic, weighing just 110 to 150 pounds. They build small snow lairs above their breathing holes, sealed chambers of snow that shield newborn pups from Arctic winds and the watchful eyes of polar bears. Yet a polar bear's sense of smell can detect a ringed seal from 1 mile away, even through more than 3 feet of snow and ice. No snow lair is ever truly safe. Polar bears employ still hunting at tidal cracks, lying motionless for hours beside a fracture, waiting for a seal to surface and breathe. Patience proves a deadlier weapon than any fang or claw. A polar bear's paw spans 12 inches across, functioning as snowshoes that distribute enormous weight, allowing the bear to traverse thin ice that would swallow any human. When a basking seal is spotted on a distant floe, the bear eases into the water with glacial stealth, swimming beneath the surface with barely a ripple disturbing the mirror-calm sea. Only a black nose, the only non-white part of its body, betrays its presence above the cold grey water. Once close enough, the bear surges from the water and heaves onto the ice edge, 1,500 pounds, launched upward in a single explosive leap. Sometimes the bear slams its massive paw spanning a full 12 inches down onto thin ice, where a seal hides below, smashing through to create a sudden breach. Each bear must consume at least one seal every 10 to 12 days to maintain its weight. The pressure to feed never relents. Arctic sea ice is losing more than 13% of its area per decade. The polar bear's floor is shrinking beneath its very feet. Polar bear fur is not truly white. Each hair shaft is hollow and transparent, scattering light to create the illusion of pure white. Beneath it, the bear's skin is jet black, absorbing heat from the feeble sunlight that filters through the fur. A polar bear can sprint at 40 miles per hour on land, despite its enormous weight. But on fracturing ice, speed counts for nothing, only swimming strength decides. Bears must swim ever greater distances between shrinking ice floes, paddling through frigid seas for hours and days on end. The documented record: one female swam continuously for 9 days without rest, covering 687 miles across open ocean, and lost her cub during that desperate, heartbreaking odyssey. "95% of a polar bear's diet consists of ringed seals, an overwhelming dependence on a single prey species that makes polar bears extraordinarily vulnerable to change. As ice melts, seals lose their breeding platforms, and bears lose their hunting ground. The two species are locked together in a shared, accelerating spiral of decline. The sea ice is melting. Polar bears have nowhere else to go. But beneath the ice on which the polar bear stands, another predator watches from the deep. Below the ice, Arctic seawater holds a temperature of roughly 28 to 29 degrees Fahrenheit, colder than any household freezer, yet teeming with life. A pod of killer whales 8 to 12 strong moves along the ice edge, where open water meets solid pack ice. The leading male stretches 32 feet long, his 6-foot dorsal fin slicing through the grey surface. Yet the true navigator is not the largest male, it is the eldest female. The grandmother orca guides the pod with knowledge accumulated over decades, remembering migration routes, remembering feeding grounds, remembering safe waters. Science calls this the grandmother effect. Killer whales spy hop, thrusting their massive heads vertically from the water, rising until their eyes clear the surface, sweeping the ice shelf methodically in search of resting seals, silhouetted against the white. Orcas exploit fractures in the sea ice to close the distance, gliding beneath the frozen sheet, surfacing only at narrow gaps, sudden and lethal. When a seal rests on a small ice floe, the entire pod coordinates to generate waves, wave washing, sliding the prey into the water. Squad-level tactics executed with military precision. Arctic orcas belong to a distinct ecotype smaller than temperate orcas, bearing yellowish-white patches instead of pure white. They have adapted to ice-laden waters no other ecotype dares enter. Each pod possesses its own acoustic dialect, a language unintelligible to other pods, passed from grandmother to calf across generations. Culture, not instinct, shapes how they hunt. Orcas are the most widely distributed marine mammals on Earth, from the equator to both poles. But in the Arctic, they are expanding their range as sea ice melts, pushing into waters sealed shut for thousands of years. The sea ice is changing, thinning, fragmenting, retreating further each year. And beneath the ocean floor, beneath the shifting currents, a giant moves through the coldest waters on Earth, the largest creature ever to have existed in 4 billion years of life on this planet. The waters between the Arctic and the North Pacific, where frigid currents carry plankton blooms that build the food chain sustaining an entire ocean. The blue whale, larger than any dinosaur that ever walked the land, larger than anything the ocean has ever produced, stretching to 100 feet from rostrum to fluke, weighing over 200 tons, the equivalent of 33 African elephants combined. A blue whale's heart weighs roughly 400 pounds, approximately the size of a golf cart, pulsing with a slow, thunderous rhythm audible from several feet away through the water. This colossal muscle commands staggering power. Each beat pumps enough blood to fill an entire bathtub, sending it surging through arteries as wide as drainage pipes. The aorta runs wide enough for a child to swim through. The tongue alone weighs as much as an adult elephant, nearly 6,000 pounds. Consuming over 4 tons of krill each day, filtering seawater through baleen plates up to 3 feet long, each lunge engulfing a volume of water equal to the whale's own body weight. Migrating more than 10,000 miles across Arctic seas, one of the longest journeys undertaken by any species on the planet. The blue whale's call, the most powerful sound produced by any living creature, reaching 188 decibels, travels roughly 1,000 miles through the ocean. The purpose: finding a mate across boundless waters, where density amounts to just a handful of individuals per thousands of square miles. Once hunted to the brink of extinction, fewer than 1% of the original population survived the commercial whaling era. From more than 200,000 individuals, the number plummeted to between 5,000 and 15,000. Warming seas are shifting krill distribution, forcing blue whales to travel farther, dive deeper, and burn far more energy simply to find enough food. That same warming is melting sea ice, threatening polar bears above the surface, and restructuring the entire food web below. Everything connects, from the 200-ton giant gliding through the black depths of the ocean to the solitary ice floe where a polar bear stands, scanning the horizon, a single invisible thread, woven by billions of years of evolution, binds them all. But Siberian winter does not last forever. And when the first light returns after months of darkness, the transformation begins. From the south, a flock of birds approaches. Their arrival will signal the end of the longest battle on Earth. Spring sunlight returns after months of absence, pale at first, then warming to gold. Snow melts into trickling streams that carve dark veins across the white landscape, and rivers shatter their ice with thundercrack explosions that echo for miles through the valleys. From the south, snow geese fly home in great heaving waves of white V formations, cutting across the Arctic sky like living arrows, their raucous clamor shattering months of frozen silence and announcing that the siege has finally broken. Migrating more than 5,000 miles, including a non-stop leg of 1,600 miles across the open Arctic Sea. Remarkable endurance for a creature weighing less than 7 pounds, a feathered marathon runner crossing oceans on sheer willpower. The V formation is no accident. Each bird trailing behind rides the wingtip vortex of the one ahead, saving 20 to 30% of its energy. The lead position rotates. No single bird bears the full fury of the headwind alone. Tens of thousands of snow goose pairs nest on Wrangel Island's tundra, their calls rising like a symphony after months of nothing but wind and silence. Eggs must hatch. Before the brief Arctic summer ends, a window of just 2 to 3 months before the freeze returns. Every single day is precious. Snow geese are not the only creatures returning after the long winter. In the taiga, snow blanketing a brown bear's den begins to melt. Droplets trickle from the ceiling onto a bed of dry leaves. Inside, a heartbeat quickens from 8 beats per minute, climbing slowly to 20, then 30. The mother bear emerges, blinking into the harsh spring glare, 30 to 40% lighter than when she entered in autumn. Ribs and hip bones visible beneath a matted, tangled coat that has not seen sunlight in 5 months. But behind her, 2 cubs born in the depths of winter follow on trembling legs. The cubs see daylight for the first time in their short lives. The outside world, vast beyond comprehension, blinding in its brightness, flooded with unfamiliar scents carried on the spring breeze, is entirely new, entirely overwhelming, and entirely full of promise. Daylight stretches longer. Snow retreats to the mountaintops. and across all of Siberia, life erupts once more. The Arctic summer brings a phenomenon of wonder, the midnight sun, when light never fades for 2 unbroken months. Wrangel Island does not belong to snow geese alone. This remote, wind-scoured outpost also harbors the highest density of polar bear maternity dens anywhere on Earth. Pregnant mothers who have swum hundreds of perilous miles through ice-choked seas to reach this island, dig into snowdrifts, and bring new life into the frozen world. Arctic foxes patrol the goose nesting grounds, waiting for abandoned eggs or chicks separated from their mothers. On Wrangel, the brief summer is a feast for every opportunist. But summer passes like a dream. As daylight shortens, autumn knocks on Siberia's door, and every species feels the shift. The Taimyr Peninsula, the northernmost land on the Eurasian continent, where the world's largest wild reindeer herd begins a migration spanning more than 1,000 miles. Hundreds of thousands of reindeer flow in a living river, an unbroken column of clicking hooves and steaming breath stretching from horizon to horizon, from the northern tundra toward the southern taiga before winter tightens its icy grip. Reindeer hooves transform with the seasons soft and spongy in summer for traction on wet ground, hard and sharp-edged in winter to scrape through ice and reach lichen beneath. The reindeer's nose conceals a sophisticated heating system, coiled nasal chambers laced with dense capillary networks that warm air from -40 degrees Fahrenheit before it reaches the lungs. Reindeer possess a visual mechanism found nowhere else in the animal kingdom. The reflective membrane, known as the tapetum lucidum, the mirror-like layer behind the retina, blazes golden in summer, filtering the punishing 24-hour glare of the midnight sun. But when Arctic winter descends, this membrane compresses into deep blue, scattering light to maximize vision through the polar darkness. Among the rare large mammals on Earth capable of perceiving ultraviolet light, the reindeer's vision stands as a flawless instrument of survival. This ability allows them to pinpoint lichen hidden beneath snow and detect, from a distance, the urine trails of dangerous predators. Reindeer are the only deer species in which both sexes grow. Antlers, males, carry larger racks, but shed them before winter, while females retain theirs throughout the cold months to defend food for themselves and their calves. This means the reindeer pulling winter sleighs, including the famous Rudolph, are, biologically speaking, female. Danger stalks the migration route. Eurasian lynx conceal themselves along the forest edge, bordering the tundra, waiting for stragglers, especially exhausted young reindeer, after days of walking. The Eurasian lynx, the largest wildcat in Europe, weighing up to 65 to 85 pounds, broad paws sheathed in dense fur. The lynx ambushes lunging from concealment, latching onto the back of a young reindeer. But adult reindeer are too large lynx, target-only calves or exhausted individuals that fall behind the herd. As reindeer migrate across the tundra, they inadvertently help muskoxen reach forage buried below. In Siberia, even strangers can become reluctant allies. The wolverine, the gravedigger of the tundra, also shadows the migrating reindeer herds. Weighing just 40 to 50 pounds, yet possessed of a ferocity so disproportionate that even grizzly bears have been known to yield a carcass, wolverines scavenge the frozen dead, crack open marrow bones with crushing jaws, and occasionally ambush exhausted reindeer many times their own size. The Tamir reindeer population once numbered 1 million strong, the largest wild reindeer herd on Earth. But a devastating combination of climate change, shifting vegetation patterns, and relentless overhunting has slashed that figure by more than 40% within a single generation. The living river is running dry. Reindeer vanish into the taiga, swallowed by the darkening forest. Leaves turn gold, then bronze, then fall in silent drifts. The first winds carrying Arctic cold sweep down from the north, and the land begins its long surrender to darkness. In the Altai Mountains along Siberia's southern frontier, jagged passes rising above 10,000 feet lie buried beneath deep, wind-sculpted snow. In the soft, amber-tinged autumn light, a phantom drifts along the sheer mountainside, visible for an instant before dissolving back into stone. The snow leopard ghost of the peaks, smoky grey fur dappled with black rosettes, merging seamlessly into granite draped in white. Even standing 10 feet away, a person could look straight past without ever noticing. Weighing 60 to 120 pounds, far smaller than a tiger or a common leopard. But on near vertical slopes, where a single misstep means death, smaller size becomes the advantage. A snow leopard's tail stretches nearly as long as its body, serving as a counterbalance when leaping across cliff faces and wrapping around its muzzle for warmth during nights at -30 degrees Fahrenheit. Broad paws cloaked in thick fur, natural snowshoes distributing weight across soft snow, while prey flounders chest deep. The snow leopard tracks a herd of argali, massive Siberian wild sheep, with curling amber horns through a narrow mountain pass dusted with fresh powder. It has covered more than 25 miles over treacherous, near-vertical terrain since dawn, navigating by scent and memory to reach the flock's favored resting ground. A single snow leopard's territory can exceed 77 square miles, a kingdom of rock and snow where humans almost never set foot. This is why the snow leopard remains one of the least studied big cats in the world. Specially enlarged nasal cavities, a heating system that warms air from -40 degrees Fahrenheit before it enters the lungs, sustaining performance at oxygen-starved altitudes, where each breath delivers only half the oxygen found at sea level. The ambush, the snow leopard, explodes from a snow-covered outcrop, locking onto its prey's back with outstretched claws. Both tumble down the steep, near-vertical slope in a churning cloud of powdered snow, bouncing off granite outcrops, limbs entangled. The snow leopard never lets go, its claws locked deep, its jaw clamped tight, even if the fall spans hundreds of feet. A single successful kill can sustain a snow leopard for days, its daily requirement only 3 to 4 pounds of meat. But the snow leopard cannot roar. Unlike tigers or lions, it lacks the ossified hyoid structure in the larynx needed to produce that sound. Instead, it moans, chuffs, and wails, sounds unexpectedly gentle for an apex predator. Seen from orbit, the snow leopard's kingdom, a scattered archipelago of high-altitude habitat across 12 nations, is shrinking at an alarming rate as warming temperatures push the tree line upward and human settlements encroach from below. Globally, only 4,000 to 6,500 individuals cling to survival in the wild. Within Russian territory alone, these fading sparks of life represent a mere 70 to 90 souls, clustered along the treacherous slopes of the Altai-Sayan range. A fragile population, labeled vulnerable by the IUCN, more exposed than ever before. Thousands of feet below the summit, in taiga forest draped in freezing fog, another silent hunter stalks its prey. The Eurasian lynx moves between snow-laden trunks, producing almost no sound. Its grey-brown spotted coat dissolves into bark and taiga shadow. Fur-sheathed paws allow the lynx to float atop soft snow while prey sinks, belly deep, stripped of every speed advantage. Siberian lynx rank among the largest of their species, nearly double the size of temperate lynx, powerful enough to bring down prey 3 to 4 times their own weight. Primary winter quarry, snowshoe hares and grouse. The hares have donned white coats for flawless camouflage against the snow, yet the lynx needs no eyes to find them. These tufts amplify sound like natural antennae, enabling the lynx to detect a hare's footfall on snow from 250 feet away. The hunting technique. A pouncing leap from concealment, one single strike, precise and decisive. If it misses, the lynx does not give chase. Conserving energy matters more than any single meal. Snow leopards haunt the windswept peaks above the clouds. Lynx prowl the fog-shrouded forest, far below both invisible phantoms sharing the same mountain range, both absolute masters of concealment and both threatened by the same gathering force, the irreversible shrinking of their habitat. Fog is not the enemy. For invisible hunters, fog is an ally. And as autumn days grow shorter, fading light surrenders to lengthening darkness. Winter prepares its return. But this land is changing faster than at any point in recent history. Siberia is warming 2 to 3 times faster than the global average. Permafrost beneath the surface is thawing ancient ground that has remained frozen since the last ice age, now softening into mud, releasing methane and carbon dioxide trapped for thousands of years, fueling a self-reinforcing spiral of warming that science has yet to find a way to reverse. Sea ice contracts. Taiga shifts northward. Tundra shrinks. Every species in this story, from the Siberian tiger to the snow goose, from the polar bear to the blue whale, feels the change. Wild Siberia does not need us to survive, but it needs us to stop destroying. Siberia has endured multiple ice ages. The question now a euro, can Siberia survive us? Thank you for journeying with WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told until we meet again on the next expedition. Subscribe to the channel now. Every subscription is a vote of support for us to keep telling these extraordinary stories. Africa, a continent where every terrain, every altitude, and every ecosystem operates by its own laws. Yet, when the water recedes, a single mandate remains: adapt or perish. Ten species, 10 strategies. From the sun-baked grasslands to the parched riverbeds, from the blazing midday sky to the moonless dark. And out on the dry plains, where all life retreats toward the final waterhole, a hunter is watching the only predator in Africa capable of bringing down a mature eland, the lion. The lionesses lie motionless in the golden grass, masters of concealment. Their amber eyes remain. Lionesses are the pride's primary hunters. Males defend the territory, but the price of a domain is measured in sustenance, and it is the females who provide it. The dry season forces everything closer. Territories shrink, food grows scarce. The borders of neighboring prides begin to overlap and conflicts escalate. Against this backdrop, the eland is the ideal target, but also the most lethal. £2,000 of solid muscle, spiraled horns capable of piercing a lion's chest, a thick dewlap shielding the throat, a kick possessing enough force to shatter an attacker's jaw. No solitary lion would dare attempt it. This is a task demanding a coalition 3, 4, sometimes 5 lionesses coordinating from multiple angles. The encirclement begins slowly. 1 arc's left, 2 approach from the rear. A 4th holds the front, not to strike, but to cut off the escape route. The eland bull realizes it too late. He pivots, horns lowered, but he has already been isolated from the herd. The first pounce targets the hindquarters. Claws dig deep. The eland stumbles, and in that fraction of a second of lost balance, the second lioness lunges for the neck. The dewlap absorbs the impact. Feline jaws slip across the thick hide. But the third arrives, and this time, the canines find the windpipe. The massive beast collapses onto the baked earth. Dust billows up, obscuring the scene for several seconds. As the dust settles, the pride begins to feed. But not without a toll. One lioness favors a wounded shoulder, an eland horn having punctured the muscle. In Africa, lions are the sole predators capable of felling a full-grown eland. Yet, the eland is also one of the few prey animals capable of killing its attacker in return. This is the equation dictated by the dry season. Hunters require large prey to sustain a pride. But formidable prey always carries immense risk. And that risk extends beyond the prey itself. The 5 lionesses in this pride are raising 7 cubs. Half of all lion cubs in Africa do not survive their first year. Fewer than 20% reach their second birthday. Cubs starve when their mothers fail to hunt. They perish when spotted hyenas raid the den while the pride is away. They die when new males conquer the pride, eliminating all cubs to bring the females swiftly back into estrus. It is not cruelty. It is the cold calculus of evolution. A new male typically holds a pride for an average of 2 to 3 years. There is no time to raise another's offspring. The lionesses understand this. When new males arrive, they fiercely defend their young, but 5 females cannot withstand 2 males weighing 50% more. Eventually, survival instinct prevails. They yield, and the cycle begins anew. Lion populations have plummeted by 43% over the past 2 decades, from 200,000 down to roughly 20 to 25,000 wild individuals across the continent. Habitat loss, human conflict, poaching. Every dry season claims a few more prides, and with every pride lost, a vital link vanishes from the ecosystem. Every meal matters. Every cub matters. Every dry season is a crucible. The dawn light spills across the withered plains, and upon this grass, immense dark silhouettes are moving slowly, steadily, as though time itself stands still. They stand nearly 6 feet at the shoulder, weighing over 2,000 pounds, among the largest of all antelope species on Earth, the common eland. From a distance, they appear sluggish, bulky, clumsy. Their top speed is a mere 25 miles per hour, slower than almost any other antelope on the savanna. Yet evolution never designs without purpose. From a standstill, a mature eland can vault 8 feet into the air, clearing a human's head. No other large African antelope can achieve this feat. As the herd travels, a distinct sound rings out, a rhythmic clicking generated by a tendon mechanism in their forelegs. This acoustic signal carries over 500 yards, helping the herd maintain contact even when obscured by tall grass. The dewlap beneath the neck in mature males is dense and heavy. This is far more than a sexual characteristic. This thick layer of skin and muscle guards the throat, the exact spot predators always target. Elands range across eastern and southern Africa, from open savannas to woodlands, from semi-desert plains to scrublands. They are nomads, defending no fixed territory, perpetually trailing the food supply. Their diet is remarkably versatile, grazing on grass while also browsing on leaves, tubers, and fallen fruit. This very adaptability allows elands to thrive where fussier eaters would perish. Moreover, elands possess an advantage matched by few large savanna dwellers. They can survive for weeks without drinking, extracting all necessary moisture from their forage. The eland's body regulates its core temperature, allowing it to rise a few degrees during the day rather than expending water to cool down through sweating, an evolutionary solution possessed by very few large mammals. The drought does not terrorize elands as it does others. They do not need the water holes. They are not forced into the danger zones. When a mature bull strides forward, heavy, majestic, his coat shifts from tawny to a bluish grey. Age writes itself across their bodies like a historical record. The older the bull, the darker the coat, the thicker the dewlap. Yet the dry season alters one thing. It compels the elands to congregate in massive herds, sometimes exceeding 500 individuals, multiplying the eyes keeping watch. A massive herd means they are difficult to surprise, but it also means they are easily spotted. However, the dry season does not solely press elands and lions into the same arena. There is another predator, smaller, swifter, and vastly more efficient than the lion, and the lions cannot tolerate their existence. On these plains, the lion is the sovereign. Yet there is one species the lion will never abide, not because they pose a physical threat, but because they are simply too competent. Somewhere in the distance, a sneeze breaks the silence. A pack is casting its votes. The African wild dog, Lycaon pictus, literally painted wolf, the most effective predator on the dark continent. A success rate of 60 to 90%, 3 times that of a lion. But they are not stronger than lions. Not larger, not faster. Their secret lies in a trait possessed by very few species on the planet: democracy. Before every hunt, the pack rallies. They touch noses, wag tails, and emit bird-like twitters. Then they begin to sneeze one by one. Every sneeze is a ballot. When enough votes are cast, the hunt commences. If they fall short, the pack rests. Research confirmed in 2017, this is a genuine electoral process. Democracy in the animal kingdom. No kings, no queens, only consensus. The African wild dog pack before us numbers 12 members. An alpha pair, one male, one female, leads them. But leading here does not mean issuing commands. It means serving. Every member of the pack shares in the bounty. Adults regurgitate meat for the pups. The strong carry portions back for the injured. The elderly are provisioned by the pack until their final days. When a packmate is too injured to hunt, they are never abandoned. After every kill, the hunters return, regurgitating food right before the wounded individual until they recover or pass away. Pups are reared by the entire collective, not solely the parents. Any adult will regurgitate meat for any pup. Familial boundaries blur. The pack itself is the family. Communication occurs through soft, bird-like calls. A gentle twitter maintains contact on the move. A deep hoo signals assembly. No growling, no posturing. Everything is fluid, cooperative. No other large African predator boasts a social welfare system quite like this. Yet social welfare cannot shield them from a harsh reality. African wild dogs require a territory several times the size of a major metropolis, and space is vanishing. The hunt begins. The target, a juvenile eland separated from the herd's edge. Their pace is 41 miles per hour, not the fastest on the savannah, but certainly swift enough. And more crucially, relentless. African wild dogs do not ambush. They chase, and chase, and chase. They rotate when the vanguard tires. The one behind seamlessly takes over. A masterclass in pure attrition. The young eland runs for over 3 miles. Its legs grow heavy. Its breathing turns ragged. The pack maintains its pace steady, unhurried, devoid of panic. Ultimately, the quarry halts, not by choice, but because the body refuses to carry on. The pack dismembers the kill right there on the grass. Swift, efficient, unceremonious. In less than 15 minutes, the young eland is gone, leaving only sinew and bone. But efficiency comes at a cost. Across the entirety of Africa, roughly 6,600 African wild dogs remain. Among them, only 1,400 are breeding adults. Each pack demands a territory of 80 to over 800 square miles. As woodlands are cleared and plains fractured, territories compress and packs collide. Disease rabies, canine distemper, spills over from domestic dogs into wild populations. A single outbreak can eradicate an entire pack within weeks. Yet the African wild dog's greatest adversary is not a virus. It is not mankind. It is the lion. Lions do not eat African wild dogs. They slaughter them, then walk away. Not out of hunger, not from provocation. Simply because the wild dogs exist within the same territory and the lion brooks no competitors. It is a war of survival where only one side takes the offensive. The lions seek and destroy. The dogs merely attempt to evade. However, the dry season forces everything into proximity, and there is one location both lion and dog must visit, willingly or not: the waterhole. The relentless sun transforms the waterhole into the epicenter of all conflict. Elands can avoid it. They extract water from their forage. Lions are less dependent. They pull moisture from the blood of Deadliest. But African wild dogs must drink every single day. And beneath the surface, a resident has been waiting since 95 million years ago: the Nile crocodile. If the lion is the lord of the land, the crocodile is the sovereign of the water. Their lineage has endured for 95 million years, surviving the very extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Their anatomical design remains virtually unchanged, not due to evolutionary stagnation, but because the blueprint was flawless from the start. A four-chambered heart, a unique feature within the entire reptilian class. It allows crocodiles to route oxygen with an efficiency unmatched by any other reptile. "9,000 sensory organs blanket their bodies, hypersensitive nodes detecting pressure, temperature, and chemical composition in the water, more sensitive than human fingertips." A single drop of water falling on the river's surface 20 yards away. The crocodile registers it. Their bite force exceeds nearly 3,600 pounds of force, the strongest of any living creature. The jaws snap shut like a steel trap, yet the muscles that open them are so feeble a human can hold a crocodile's snout closed with bare hands. A nictitating membrane, a third eyelid, slides across to protect their eyes underwater while still permitting clear vision. A creature born to ambush. The crocodile's ambush technique has been honed over nearly 100 million years. The entire body submerges only the eyes, and nostrils breach the surface, virtually indistinguishable from a rotting log. And the crocodile has no need for speed. It only requires patience. Lying motionless for hours, its heart rate dropping to 2 or 3 beats a minute, waiting. When prey steps into striking range, typically within 1 body length, the crocodile launches itself with a single thrust of its tail. The jaws close in 60 milliseconds, faster than the human eye can track. Once the jaws lock, the crocodile spins the death roll, tearing chunks of flesh from its victim. They do not chew, they swallow whole. Their stomach acid is potent enough to dissolve bone. They can fast for an entire year if necessary. But when opportunity knocks, they react in milliseconds. The African wild dog pack approaches the waterhole. 12 pairs of eyes scan the surface. The alpha male steps forward, cautious, methodical. The water is still. No ripples, no signs. Yet below, 2 amber eyes gaze upward. 9,000 sensory organs had registered 12 pairs of paws on the bank when they were still 20 yards away. The adults drink swiftly, snouts grazing the water, lapping hurriedly, eyes locked on the surface, an instinct sharpened by thousands of generations of coexisting with crocodiles. But a pup, inquisitive, inexperienced, takes a few steps further. Its forepaws touch the water's edge. The water erupts. Crocodilian jaws snap shut around the pup's hind leg. Nearly 3,600 pounds of force pull downward. The pack reacts, frantic calls fill the air, but not a single dog leaps in. They know. On land, the African wild dog can fight. In the water, every advantage is nullified. The surface returns to an eerie calm. The pack stands on the bank, 11 individuals staring at the exact spot where, seconds prior, their packmate was drinking. From 12 down to 11. The pack departs the waterhole, swift, silent, never looking back. But they take a tally. Every dog scans the group, confirming who remains and who is lost. This is not blind instinct. This is awareness. But the ordeal is not over. During their retreat, the African wild dogs wander into the lion pride's territory, the very pride that felled the eland this morning. The male lion spots them first. He needs no pretext to attack. The presence of wild dogs on his land, that is reason enough. He charges. A sprint reaching 50 miles per hour in a rapid burst, 9 miles faster than the wild dogs, but only over a short distance. The dog pack does not retaliate. They run. "41 miles per hour, slower than the lion. Yet the African wild dogs possess something the lion lacks: stamina. They sustain this pace through the first mile, into the second. The lion begins to lag after several hundred yards. The gap widens. The lion halts, stands panting, his massive chest heaving beneath the midday sun. Then he turns his head. Not in surrender, but because something else has caught the edge of his vision. A herd of elands moving across the south. Larger, far more valuable prey. The lion chooses the elands. The African wild dogs survive for now. The pack regroups 2 miles away, touching noses, whimpering softly, taking the tally once more. 11 dogs. This morning, 12. 1 claimed by the crocodile. Now 11. Nearly losing another to the lion. African wild dogs never seek vengeance. Unlike the African buffalo, a creature that will hunt down lion cubs using chemical memory, the wild dog chooses a different path. Evade, run, survive, breed, persevere. On the savannah, some choose to fight, some choose to flee. Yet there is a question neither can answer. After everything perishes, who cleans up? Looking up from the baked earth, massive wings are circling unhurried, patient, as if they knew the outcome before the hunt even began. 10 species, 1 continent, no guarantees. The carcass rests on the dry plain. Eland ribs lie exposed beneath the scorching sun. Blood has dried into dark streaks on the cracked earth. From high above, 1 pair of wings catches the signal. Then 2, then 10. White-backed vultures, the airborne patrol of the savannah, descend in sweeping arcs, tightening their spiral with every rotation. They arrive before any other scavenger, not because they are faster, but because they fly higher. From an altitude of thousands of feet, their acute eyesight spots death before the scent even begins to drift. The white-backed vulture was once the most abundant vulture in Africa. Now critically endangered, according to the IUCN. Populations have plummeted by 81 to 86% in just a few decades. The primary culprit? Poisoning. The veterinary drug diclofenac in livestock kills vultures when they feed on the carcasses. Toxins laced onto carcasses by poachers intended for leopards, but devastating to vultures. The illegal trade of their parts for traditional medicine. Yet vultures do more than merely consume carrion. They safeguard the health of the entire ecosystem. A vulture's stomach secretes acid at a remarkably low pH, potent enough to neutralize anthrax, botulism, and cholera, pathogens that would prove fatal to almost any other animal upon contact. Without vultures, carcasses rot slowly. Bacteria leach into the water table. Disease runs rampant. Vultures act as the immune system of the plains, and that system is actively collapsing. In India, when vultures neared extinction due to diclofenac, feral dog populations exploded, consuming the carrion in their stead. Rabies proliferated. Tens of thousands of human lives were lost. A grim warning for Africa. On the dry plains, electrocution from high-voltage power lines claims thousands more each year. Broad wings, flying low on approach, striking the wires. The ecosystem's janitors are being exterminated by human infrastructure. The vultures tear into the eland's hide with hooked beaks powerful, yet insufficient to breach the thickest sections of skin. They begin at the existing wounds where the lions previously tore flesh. Then, another dark silhouette touches down. Larger, more deliberate, noticeably uglier by any conventional standard. The marabou stork, the undertaker bird of Africa. A wingspan of 7 to 9 feet, occasionally reaching 10 feet, ranking among the largest of any terrestrial bird. Standing 4 to 5 feet tall. A naked head and neck, an evolutionary adaptation preventing blood and bacteria from clinging to feathers while feeding on carcasses. An inflatable gular sac swells during courtship, or displays of dominance. A grotesque appendage on a truly bizarre creature. The marabou does not arrive alongside the vultures. It arrives later and waits. The vultures open the carcass first, their hooked beaks far better suited for the task. Then, the marabou pushes its way in, utilizing a straight, lengthy, formidable bill, rending meat and swallowing it entirely. The marabou can consume solid bone. Its stomach grinds the skeletal remains to extract calcium, a capability possessed by a very select group of avian species. Two species laboring over a single carcass. No one engineered this alliance, yet it operates flawlessly. The vultures open, the marabou clears. Competitors, yet undeniably interdependent. Soaring up to 15,000 feet on thermal updrafts, the marabou stork patrols vast expanses of sky. When they spot a grass fire, they arrive on the front lines, marching just ahead of the flames, snatching up small animals fleeing the inferno. Globally, natural disposal systems like this are deteriorating. As vultures and marabous dwindle, the cost of managing animal waste soars, and disease outbreaks become increasingly frequent. Nature devised a brilliant, free solution, and humanity is systematically dismantling it. By the time the vultures and the marabous depart, the eland carcass has all but vanished. Bleached bones resting beneath the midday sun. The savanna remains pristine. No foul odor, no contagion. The sanitation crew has completed its task. Yet, not every hunt ends so favorably for the predator. To the south, the lionesses are approaching a new target, not an eland this time, something infinitely more treacherous, the African buffalo. Synchorus Kaffir, one of the big five, the five most dangerous animals on the Dark Continent. Weighing over 2,000 pounds, standing nearly 6 feet at the shoulder. Horns fused into a formidable plate of bone atop their skulls, a boss dense enough that rifle bullets have been known to ricochet off. Do not mistake their sheer bulk for lethargy. African buffalo can clock speeds of 35 miles per hour, outpacing any Olympic sprinter. The herd before us numbers over 400. The drought has driven them together, just like the eland, but with one crucial distinction. The African buffalo does not flee. The African buffalo fights. The lionesses approach from downwind. The target, a calf lingering at the herd's fringe, a familiar tactic identical to the eland hunt this morning. But buffalo are not elands. The calf cries out, a single, distressful bleat, and the entire herd turns. 400 African buffalo pivot their horns toward the felines. No panic, no retreat. They advance shoulder to shoulder, a phalanx of horns, the ground trembling beneath 800 hooves. This is mob defense. No other prey species on the savanna executes it with greater efficacy than the buffalo. The lionesses fall back, swiftly, without a second thought. 400 enraged buffalo is not a force any pride wishes to confront. Yet the buffalo do not stop at mere defense. They retaliate. Research confirms buffalo possess the capacity to remember the faces of their attackers and track them down. Herds have been known to actively seek out hidden lion cubs, trampling them underfoot. It is not blind rage, it is memory. Every year, African buffalo kill more lions than any other creature in Africa. The exact number remains unknown, but every field biologist agrees this is the most lethal prey animal for an apex predator. And buffalo cast votes, too, just like the African wild dogs. When the herd rests, mature females stand up, angling their bodies in the direction they wish to travel. Whichever heading garners the most votes, the herd marches that way. Democracy on the plains, it is not exclusive to the wild dog. African buffalo hold elections as well, but where wild dogs vote with sneezes, the buffalo vote with their gaze. The lions know this. They only strike when the herd is navigating through water where deep mud hampers their heavy strides, where the defensive formation inevitably fractures. And that water, the final waterhole of the dry season, is precisely where all these clashes converge. As the herd wades through the mire, lions are not the sole menace. Nile crocodiles lie in wait beneath the muddy surface, anticipating a straying calf. Mature buffalo are far too massive for a crocodile to challenge, but a calf under 6 months of age, that is a prime target. Over a third of buffalo calves will not survive their first year. The lions take a toll. The crocodiles claim their share. Disease handles the rest. But buffalo compensate through sheer volume. A herd of 400 can yield 40 calves in a single season. The African buffalo is not yet endangered. The IUCN classifies them as near threatened. However, populations are dwindling due to habitat loss and diseases introduced by domestic livestock. Bovine tuberculosis is sweeping through herds in South Africa, compromising the immune systems of entire populations. Night falls across the African plains, not a whisper of wind. The withered grass stands utterly still beneath the moonlight, like skeletal fingers reaching up from the fractured earth. A diminutive shadow weaves through the stalks, a striped back, a pointed snout, a mane bristling along its spine bearing the distinct profile of the hyena family, yet no larger than a small dog. This is the aardwolf, the most peculiar member of the Hyanidae family. Its molar teeth have regressed into useless pegs, utterly ineffective against any slab of meat. Fangs remain, but solely for defense. The aardwolf has no desire for meat. With a long, sticky tongue, it laps at the soil, harvesting up to 250,000 termites in a single night. Exceptional hearing allows it to detect the faint rustle of insects scurrying just beneath the baked crust. But the dry season is strangling the savanna. Termite activity dwindles. The Trinoviterm's mounds stand barren. The aardwolf is forced to upend its circadian rhythm, switching to diurnal termite species, shattering routines established over thousands of generations. On this continent, even a hyena can find itself the underdog. And tonight, it is not the only creature hunting. Within the very darkness where the aardwolf licks the earth, another presence stirs, the caracal sharing the night, but playing by an entirely different set of rules. Pointed ears tipped with black tufts, 20 distinct muscles control each ear independently, scanning the auditory landscape in a 360-degree arc like a living radar station. Suddenly, it launches 10 feet into the air and plucks a bird straight from the midnight sky. Sharing the dark. One consumes termites, the other flesh. Sharing the continent, sharing the night, but inhabiting two entirely separate worlds. The caracal, a phantom that materializes in the dark, weaving through the same shadows as the aardwolf. But today, we understand so much more about the laws governing this darkness. A caracal weighs between 18 and 42 pounds, smaller than a leopard, smaller than a hyena, but within the nocturnal sky, absolutely unrivaled. A top speed of 50 miles per hour in short, explosive bursts, stalking to within a mere 10 feet before detonating, delivering a precise, lethal bite to the throat. Zero wasted energy. Yet its true mastery lies in the airspace. When a flock of birds flies low, the caracal does not chase. It vaults, 10 feet straight up, twisting gracefully mid-air, and strikes. Occasionally snaring multiple birds in a single, fluid leap. A prowess that once prompted ancients to revere the caracal as a sky cat, an aerial assassin. Those tufted ears swivel in every direction, capturing the acoustic waves of a beating wing, a scampering foot, a drawn breath, the most sophisticated biological radar system on the nocturnal plains. Caracal eyes rank among the most light-sensitive of all small felines. A reflective tapetum lucidum behind the retina magnifies ambient light six-fold, transforming pitch-black night into twilight clarity. Despite its modest size, the caracal possesses immense strength. It can bring down prey 3 times its own body weight, dragging the carcass into the branches to conceal it from hyenas and vultures, a tactic mirroring the leopard, simply on a diminished scale. Caracals lead solitary lives. Their ranges are vast, marked by scent and deep scratches carved into bark. Two caracals rarely cross paths outside of mating season. The darkness belongs to those who walk alone. A remarkably varied diet. Rodents, hares, hyraxes, newborn antelope, reptiles, and predominantly birds. In certain regions, avian prey comprises more than half their intake. No terrestrial hunter derives more sustenance from the sky than the caracal. The aardwolf laps up termites in the distance. The caracal launches into the darkness closer by, the same night. Two parallel realities, never intersecting, never competing, yet enduring side by side. As dawn breaks once more, laughter echoes from the east. It is not a laugh of joy, but of submission. A hollow whoop slicing through the morning air, audible from 3 miles away. The spotted hyena. Crocuta crocuta, the most misunderstood animal in Africa. Not a cowardly scavenger, but a formidable hunter, boasting a success rate matching that of the African wild dog and jaws, capable of obliterating nearly anything. A bite force exceeding 1,100 pounds per square inch, outmatching lions, outmatching tigers. A spotted hyena's maw does not merely rend meat, it pulverizes bone, devours horn, and swallows hooves whole. Hyena droppings are often chalk white, saturated with skeletal calcium. Yet the most astonishing revelation about the spotted hyena has nothing to do with its jaws. A fiercely matriarchal society. The females rule absolutely. They are larger, heavier, and vastly more aggressive than the males. The lowest-ranking female still outranks the highest-ranking male. A clan can encompass up to 80 individuals. Every single member memorizes their precise standing within a labyrinthine hierarchy. Studies demonstrate that hyenas navigate cooperative problem-solving faster than even primates. Highly intelligent, intensely social, and utterly ruthless when necessary. Spotted hyenas utilize endurance hunting much like the African wild dog. But rather than rotating, they overwhelm. The entire clan surges forward, dominating through sheer numbers. At 37 miles per hour, they are not the fastest, but they are relentlessly unyielding. The matriarchs dominate not just socially, but biologically. Female spotted hyenas weigh 10 to 20% more than the males. Their blood carries unusually high testosterone levels, fostering intense aggression and absolute resolve when shielding their young. Hyena cubs are raised in a communal den, a sanctuary where dozens of youngsters from different mothers cohabit. A mother returns to nurse her own, but rigidly denies any other cub. Clear boundaries, a stark contrast to the African wild dog, where every adult provisions every pup. The spotted hyena population is estimated at 27,000 to 47,000 individuals, not currently threatened with extinction, but experiencing a decline. Human conflict. habitat destruction, and retaliatory killings by livestock farmers, the three looming threats. The clan before us has just returned from a nocturnal hunt. They have brought down a juvenile eland, the identical prey targeted by African wild dogs and lions. 3 species, 1 quarry, 1 shrinking savanna conflict is inevitable. African wild dogs fear the spotted hyena. A pack of 11 dogs cannot possibly repel a clan of 30 hyenas. When the clan arrives, the dogs abandon the kill. They run, surrendering a meal they chased for 3 miles to secure. But the spotted hyena also knows fear, fear of the lion. Lions slaughter hyenas precisely as they slaughter wild dogs, not to feed, but to eliminate competition. Yet hyenas do not merely flee like the painted wolves. Hyenas fight back when their numbers are right. "15 spotted hyenas can drive off a single lioness. 30 can encircle an entire pride, nipping at heels, tails, and ears, until the lions finally retreat." This is the most ancient feud on the savannah. Lions and spotted hyenas have warred for millions of years, battling for prey, battling for territory, battling for the very right to exist. And when the scraps remain, the white-backed vultures glide down from above, the marabou storks march in from the wings. The hyenas shatter the bones, the vultures strip the hide, the marabous swallow the remnants. A 3-tiered sanitation squad, ensuring absolutely nothing goes to waste. But even equipped with bone-crushing jaws, overwhelming clans, and exceptional intellect, spotted hyenas still perish beneath feline fangs every day. They still forfeit meals. They are still driven from their lands. And therein lies the grand paradox of the plains. No single species wields absolute supremacy. The lion fears the buffalo herd. The buffalo fears the murky waters where the crocodile waits. The crocodile is powerless against an eland on sun-baked ground. Every conqueror meets their match. The aardwolf harvests termites in the dead of night. The eland bounds effortlessly across the arid plains. The African wild dog casts its vote with a sneeze. The lion roars upon the riverbank. The Nile crocodile waits beneath the glassy surface. The vultures and marabous cleanse what is left behind. The African buffalo pivots its horns toward its foes. The spotted hyena laughs into the darkness. The caracal leaps into the midnight sky. Ten strategies, one boundless savanna. The true question is not who is the strongest, but rather who is the most indispensable. Should the vultures vanish, disease would run rampant. Without the African wild dog prey, populations would spiral out of control. Erase the spotted hyena and bones would pile high, vital nutrients forever lost to the soil. Remove the African buffalo, and the lion loses its greatest source of sustenance. On this magnificent continent, even a hyena can find itself the underdog. But the underdog, more often than not, is the one that endures the longest. Thank you for journeying with us on WildVerse. The natural world holds countless more stories waiting to be told. We look forward to seeing you on our next great expedition. If you wish to uncover more breathtaking tales from the African plains, subscribe to the WildVerse channel today. And the African buffalo, a living fortress, ever ready to charge whatever stands in its path, even a pride of lions. At the close of the 19th century, when big game hunting became the sport of the elite, professional hunters gave them a name that would endure: the Big Five. They were chosen not for their size, but for the profound danger and difficulty in confronting them. They are the embodiment of wildness, but power, and of the uncompromising struggle for survival. The lion, a king resting peacefully in the grass, becomes a terrifying force when threatened, capable of reaching speeds of nearly 37 miles an hour. The African bush elephant, seemingly gentle as it browses, can, in a fleeting moment, launch its 6-ton body forward like a living earthquake. The Cape buffalo, also known by the moniker the Black Death, a wild bovine that can unnerve even the most seasoned of hunters. The African leopard, though smaller than the others, is a master of the nocturnal hunt and the lethal ambush. And the rhinoceros, a relic from a prehistoric age, where the slightest movement of a stranger can provoke a charge at anything in its path. Five forces, 5 strategies, 5 emblems of a continent that never sleeps. So, among these rulers, which is truly the most powerful? The answer lies not in a single contest, but in the countless life or death decisions made each and every day. As the golden twilight washes over the savannah, a creature steps out from the shadows, silent, stealthy, yet with an immense authority. It is the African leopard, a predator concealed in the heart of the wild and the clearest testament to nature's art of adaptation. They are not the largest of the continent's great cats, but they possess a ratio of strength to agility that commands respect from any living thing. That power is not merely in its muscle, but in a biological design that is near perfect. Males typically have a body length of 3 to nearly 6.5 feet and can weigh up to 200 pounds, a mass of pure muscle engineered for explosive force. The females are smaller, a difference reflecting sexual dimorphism, where each sex has a distinct role, optimized for different survival functions. Its golden coat, with its characteristic black rosettes, is more than camouflage. It is an evolutionary map. Each rosette is a perfect blend of light and shadow, allowing it to dissolve into the landscape. Leopards in rainforests have smaller, denser rosettes to merge with the deep gloom, while those on the savanna have larger, more open patterns. The leopard's entire frame is a masterpiece of functional biology, a compact yet immensely powerful physique. Enormous scapulae and powerfully developed pectoral muscles give it extraordinary strength in its forequarters. Its spine is astonishingly flexible, allowing it to bend and twist with incredible agility. The long tail, nearly the length of its body, acts as a rudder and a sophisticated balancing tool as it navigates precarious branches. Their limbs, though short, are exceedingly strong, capable of climbing vertical tree trunks with large prey hanging from their sharp canines. It is not unusual to see a leopard hauling the carcass of an impala, weighing twice its own body weight, high into the canopy. This is not a display of pride, but a vital strategy to keep its meal from scavengers like lions or hyenas. Unlike the lion, which needs a pride, or the buffalo, which relies on the herd, the African leopard chooses its own path, silent, solitary, and highly efficient. That solitude is not forced upon it. It is its very essence. Each individual holds its own territory, marked with scent and clawed warnings on tree trunks, a quiet declaration of ownership. This is the Queen of the Shadows, and this is her secret. Beneath a thorn bush, two fragile lives, hidden from the world, are waiting. They are her future, but they are also her fatal weakness. Their eyes are still sealed shut, utterly dependent on her protection and her milk. Every hunt is now more than a quest for sustenance. It is a gamble with the life of her entire lineage. If she fails, they will starve. If she has gone too long, they may be found by an enemy. She must leave, but her greatest adversaries, male lions, are also out there, and they would not hesitate to kill her cubs to eliminate future competition. Hyenas, eagles, even baboons are all potential threats. She moves like smoke, her amber eyes scanning every thicket, her ears swiveling to capture the faintest sounds. She spots a young impala that has strayed from the herd. Now is the time for patience, a virtue honed over thousands of generations. She lowers her body, her belly nearly touching the ground, each paw placed with absolute precision so as not to make a sound. Every muscle is tensed, ready for the final burst. She stalks like a phantom, closing the distance to just 15 feet before launching a precise, explosive pounce. A bite to the throat quickly ends the prey's life, an act that is both efficient and almost silent. She has succeeded, but the meal is not yet secure. The real danger has only just begun. The scent of blood will soon attract unwelcome guests. She must hoist it high into the branches, out of reach of thieves, where the loss rate for kills on the ground can be nearly 60%. She uses her powerful jaws to grip the prey and begins the extraordinary climb. Only when the meal is safe in the tree can she think of returning to her cubs. But will they still be there when she gets back? Just then, the scent of fresh blood has alerted the true ruler of this land. A huge male lion approaches the tree where she has stashed her prize. He wants more than the meal. He wants to assert his dominance. The leopard lets out a low growl, quickly moving the carcass to an even higher position, all while continuing to watch from above. She knows that a direct confrontation would be suicide. Intelligence is her only weapon now. The lion struggles for some time. Its massive weight is a disadvantage when climbing. It looks up as if waiting for her to make a mistake, to drop the precious meal. But then it finds a small piece of bone, still with a little meat on it, something insignificant, and walks away. The queen has won this battle of wits, but the threat remains, always lurking in the shadows. The life of a leopard cub is incredibly fragile. The survival rate in the first years is only about 50%. When protecting her young, a female leopard transforms into a courageous warrior, ready to face any foe. She must constantly move them to new locations to avoid detection. They exist through adaptation, patience, and strategy, like silent ghosts slipping through the cracks of power. In a world of giants, the leopard is a master of quiet survival. To all other species, the lion is a king to be respected, but to the other members of the Big Five, it is nothing less than a merciless and bloodthirsty predator. The roar of a male lion can be heard from nearly 5 miles away, a proud, powerful sound, as if to declare, "This is my domain." That roar is not just for intimidation. It is also a complex communication tool, helping members of the pride locate one another. The male's mane is not merely a symbol of majesty, it is also a shield, protecting his neck during territorial battles. The color and thickness of the mane are also a signal of his health and genetic fitness to the lionesses. Unlike any other big cat, lions live in social groups called prides, a social unit that is both special and unique. Each pride typically has between 1 and 7 adult males, an alliance forged in blood and battle. Surrounding them are the related lionesses, the core of the pride, the primary hunters and the mothers. They raise their cubs together, forming a communal creche, which increases the chances of survival for the next generation. A key feature of lions is a clear division of labor. The females carry out up to 90% of the hunts. Their strength lies in coordination, a strategy perfected over generations. But their favored meals, ungulates like wildebeest or zebra, are not on the Big Five list. Here, there is only the African buffalo, the group's sole ungulate, a formidable opponent. A single lion cannot hunt an African buffalo alone. It requires the strength of the entire pride. And tonight, the pride has chosen its target, an old bull that has been separated from its herd. For most species, an attack by 18 lions would be a death sentence. But this warrior is still standing. The lions bite at its legs and back, trying to exhaust it, using a strategy of attrition rather than a quick finishing blow. The buffalo thrushes, using its massive horns to fling the attackers away. But it is saved by the courage of its herd. Its call has been answered. An entire wall of horn and muscle charges forth, forcing the pride into a temporary retreat. The fight is only paused. The pride has returned. They know the buffalo is wounded. The scent of blood leads them. This time, the buffalo cannot rely on speed. It can rely on only one thing, the strength of the herd. And the herd has answered once more. They will not abandon a wounded warrior. Tonight, the name the Black Death is not for the attack, but for the defense. Horns as hard as steel point outwards, an impenetrable fortress. The pride circles, probing for a weakness, but dares not launch a frontal assault. But the lion's patience is limitless. They wait. Finally, after hours of tension, the injured buffalo collapses from exhaustion. Only then can the pride enjoy the meal for which they paid such a high price. The power of this wild bovine comes not only from its immense stature, but also from its way of life. It is never alone. Look at its forehead. The two horn bases have fused, forming a boss of solid bone, so thick and hard it can toss an attacking lion. This is a natural helmet, an ultimate weapon. Their horns continue to grow throughout their lives, becoming a symbol of age and battle experience. And when a herd of the Black Death, which can number in the hundreds, is on the move, they are an unstoppable force. They have a remarkable memory and are believed to remember those who have attacked them and will proactively charge them if given the chance. Even young lions must learn to swim through flooded areas if they do not wish to lose their lives beneath their hooves. In the war between lion and buffalo, there are no easy victories. There are only survivors.